It's almost time for our week 4 running back rankings, but before we get to that, let's do a little recap of how I did last week with my DFS buys, my love'ems, and my fade'ems. And you can find my DFS buys for week 4 at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. In week 3, I thought that Josh Jacobs at $7,000 was a slam dunk. I said you could go right ahead and pay for him and feel confident about it. And at running back 23, I think I bricked that one. Then I gave you a long shot at Kendre Miller for, bigger tournament type play. At $4,300, that did not work out. And I thought that if you wanted to go a little bit safer than that, going up against Houston, Jacksonville, the RB2 there, Tank Bigsby, would probably get some work and had an opportunity for 2 touchdowns at $4,700. I'd take that. And unfortunately, he did get a touchdown and about no else work, so it didn't really come through. No else work is a sentence, I'm pretty sure. Then for the love'ems, I gave you Josh Kelly and Najee Harris. I thought both of them had some good matchups, promising matchups for them to right the ships that they are sinking in, and it did not work. I will say, at least for Josh Kelly, the process was there. Sometimes a love'em's a love'em because the situation for the game, even if they have a poor game as far as efficiency and whatnot, at least this should be like a high-scoring affair. There should be opportunities for them to just fall in the end zone and get a few yards throughout the game, a couple of receptions, and at the end of the day, get you 8-9 points at least. Well, Josh Kelly did have those opportunities. I believe he had like 3 opportunities to get you a touchdown on like 2 different drives maybe, and it just didn't come through, unfortunately. And then Najee Harris, it's looking like he's probably going to be a bust. For my fade'ems, I gave you Joe Mixon, who ended up as the running back 12, so another failure. Rough week for the running backs, but I did have a backup to DeAndre Swift in case we got some news, which we did, and I went over that on Saturday, the Saturday news report about DeAndre Swift probably getting that starting role. And so if that were the event, I gave a backup, and that was Breece Hall, and finally we found some success in my fade'ems and my love'ems. So with that, I just want to give you a heads up in case you didn't see the quarterbacks video where I do have my projections done for. Ran into some issues with my projections, and I'm basically having to rebuild them from the ground up, which is not an easy process. It's going to be a very, very long week for me trying to pound these videos out first. So let's get on to the week 4 rankings. And right off to the side of me, you can see my running back rankings. This is my first tier of running backs. These are the must-start guys this week. Christian McCaffrey at running back 1, followed by Kenneth Walker, Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Travis Etienne, James Cook, Josh Jacobs, and Raheem Mostert. The only thing I will mention here, James Cook over Josh Jacobs. Looks like it would be a little bit of a surprise. Not surprising that it would surprise people, but James Cook has been the better back thus far this season. It's a higher scoring matchup that he'll be in. They get almost an identical amount of snaps from one another, and Miami is a slightly better matchup via fantasy points given up to running backs so far this season. It's really close all the way around between the two, but James Cook just kind of had the edge at every turn, so that's the way I went. Let's move on to the second tier of running backs. Little tier here from running back 9 through 14. At running back 9, I have DeAndre Swift going up against Washington, 7 spots ahead of the ECR. And why do I have him over Derrick Henry? In part, it just comes down to one simple thing. I think that I would be much more concerned about Derrick Henry popping a goose egg on my lap than I would DeAndre Swift doing so. At least at this current point in the season. Even if you include DeAndre Swift's week 1 where he got like 1 touch in that game, he's still been the better back through the first 3 weeks over Derrick Henry. And it may seem like I'm down on Derrick Henry this week. That's really not the case here. I'm just higher up on DeAndre Swift more than anything. I do think that there is a chance that Derrick Henry will be able to establish the run versus Cincinnati, especially if the Cincinnati offense can't get things going on offense. If you don't include week 1, DeAndre Swift is in the running back top 5 kind of play. Very close into that grouping. Same with Zach Moss and Jerome Ford. forgive me for having more faith in the talent of DeAndre Swift and the overall talent of the offense that he's on in a week where they're going up against the Washington Commanders. To wrap this tier up, we have DeAndre Swift at running back 10, followed by Aaron Jones. If he is going, I want to play him, and I think that he will be going up against Detroit this week. I'm just probably going to play him. Then Kyren Williams in at running back 12, followed by Zach Moss and Jahmyr Gibbs. It's hard to ignore what Zach Moss has done over the past couple of weeks, so hopefully he doesn't let you down. On to my third tier of running backs. Starting off at running back 15, we have Alvin Kamara, and Kamara's coming in fresh. He's ready to jack some dudes in the face. My primary concern would be that the quarterback doesn't really dump the ball off to him a whole lot in this game, but I'm really struggling to get on board with a lot of the rest of this tier, really, that he's within. So at the time of these initial rankings, I'm willing to risk it. Then at running back 16, we have Joe Mixon, and I'm just going to kind of talk about, he is my fatum here going up against Tennessee, and that's the big reason why he's my fatum. Tennessee's been pretty darn stout against the run, and at least Joe Mixon gives you some receiving work that should help, but all in all, I'm just not expecting a big day from Joe Mixon. Just if you want 9 points, I think, then play Joe Mixon. And that's not terrible. Like that can help to keep you in weeks at least. And so when looking at Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders, Alexander Mattison, Javonte Williams, especially in this tier, all in all, I think that this tier is the I don't know what to do with them crew. We've got decent but struggling running backs going up against good defenses, and then we have question marks going up against bad defenses in good matchups. Then there's Miles Sanders, who I somehow have the least concern about in this group. What I'm saying is, as is always true with tiers, if you want to play Javonte Williams over any of these guys going up against Chicago, I'm all for it. That's going to bring this next tier up. Running back 21, I have James Conner. At running back 22, I have Brian Robinson Jr. going up against Philadelphia. It's kind of the same thing as Joe Mixon there. Just concerned about the matchup. Don't really think that Brian Robinson's play style meshes well going up against Philadelphia. And if anything, they should fall behind rather quickly. And then you do tend to see Antonio Gibson get a little bit more work when they're working from behind. Then we have Jerome Ford in at running back 23. Don't trust it. Last week was funky. At 24, we have Isaiah Pacheco, followed by Devon Achane. Worth a shot to take on. It's not a guarantee how well that goes for you, but definitely worth a shot in a high-scoring matchup. And at running back 26, I have Joshua Kelly. And I'm going for it again here with Josh Kelly. You know what the saying is, a dead clock is correct twice a day, right? So maybe eventually we'll get this one in. Going up against Las Vegas, and nice matchup overall there. I'll be listening for news that they're going to give Isaiah Spiller more work or something like that. If any of that kind of news comes out, then stay away from Josh Kelly. But otherwise, I do think that you could play him if your running backs bring you down this far. And that's going to bring us to the final running back tier of the day, from running back 27 through running back 33. There are more running backs that I have ranked. They're all up on the website at www.theffforge.com. There's a link down in the description. You can see the website right below me as well. So that's where you can find the full rankings. But at running back 27, have Breece Hall, and we saw his usage increase in week 3, which is really right on schedule. This was kind of the week that we thought, hey, hopefully by week 3 we should start to see more usage. So assuming that he didn't come out of that game with any kind of setbacks, which is probably not something that we would know or find out. He's going to be on the injury report regardless all week and limited in practice, so we really wouldn't know. As long as nothing happened, I think that the workload will continue to increase. It is, however, not a good matchup this week going up against Kansas City, but I'm banking on him finding a crease. This is around the time that we were hoping for / expecting a glow up from him. I'm willing to be a week early on that compared to being a week late when you look at some of the other guys that he's ranked around and what they've done this season. I'll take a shot on it and hope for the best. Then at running back 28, have Jaylen Warren, 3 spots ahead of ECR. By the way, if I didn't mention, ECR over here, expert consensus ranking from Fantasy Pros website. If the number is in the positive, that means I'm higher than the ECR in those players. If the number's in the negative, that means that I am lower than the ECR in those players by that respective amount. For running back 28, Jaylen Warren, through 3 weeks, he has been the better back in the Pittsburgh backfield, and so I'm going to start to rank him like that because there's no reason, really, at this point, to expect that to change. If anything, Jaylen Warren should get more of a role now that he's done something great himself. Then at running back 29, have Dameon Pierce, and I should probably have him behind Rachaad White right there behind him. But Pittsburgh has allowed the 5th most fantasy points to running backs so far, and I think that Houston is going to want to establish that run game against this frightening Pittsburgh defense overall, so that way they can help their rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud, stay at least somewhat comfortable in a tougher matchup. So Dameon Pierce should get an opportunity. The only reason that Rachaad White should be higher is that his usage in the passing game compared to Dameon Pierce's, that consistency and reliability, that he's going to be the guy at least. There's almost no chance that they can establish the run against New Orleans, though, for Rachaad White. So you're really only relying on that passing work, and I don't know. Then for running back 31, I have Roschon Johnson. And it's the same story as Jaylen Warren for him, basically. Plus, Roschon started the game last week. Actually started it. So, heck, you know what? We're going to give him a love him tag. That's right. I'm pulling one over on you. You didn't see this one coming. There it is, all lit up in green. So, Roschon Johnson is going to be my second love him for the running back position. Going up against Denver. Obviously, that's like the best running back matchup, and it will be for some time, depending on exactly what measure you use. But as far as average fantasy points allowed against a defense, last week did some damage to Denver for several weeks. So to wrap up the running backs, we have Najee Harrison at running back 32 and Khalil Herbert at running back 33. Thank you very much for coming up. Now let's look at my DFS buys for the week, and at $5,700, I think obviously, like, I love DeAndre Swift. I have him as a love him this week, right? So I'll take that price discount. Does concern me a little bit that they're still that low on him compared to my ranking, but I have confidence in my ranking, baby. If you want to go contrarian this week, I bet most people will be avoiding Breece Hall, considering he's a fair bit more expensive than guys in much better matchups who, for the most part, have actually done something this season. Maybe, well, I mean, Breece Hall has done something on the level of these guys, but he is more expensive than them, and in a much worse matchup, it is going to be Josh Kelly, Dameon Pierce, Jaylen Warren, and Roschon Johnson, who, for the costs, I like all of them. Some of them should end up paying off, one or two of them at least. Then for a big tournament shot, Isaiah Spiller's my guy. He is as far as you can go down on the list for the running back cost at $4,000. His usage quadrupled last week from 4 snaps to 16 snaps. So maybe they'll give him the go if Josh Kelly has a slow start, or maybe even we find out by the end of the week that they're just going to give him a go. I don't know, but maybe it'll happen. Thank you very much for coming on through for my running back rankings. Wide receiver rankings should come out in the morning, and tight end rankings on Friday morning. Don't really care to put those out while the Thursday night game is going. And yeah, gonna be a long week. Bye-bye.